There we are. I can see us. So we're working.
Mhm.
All righty. Okay, so welcome as we bring on some folks. My name is Megan. I'm the Chief Creative Officer or Chief Experience Officer for Wildly Digital. If you've never watched one of our episodes before, this is episode 5 of Spilling the Tea, Business Energetics. Today we have the lovely Tula Fae, who is the astrological entrepreneur. I am so excited to talk to you. I've been anticipating this for like 2 weeks and just cannot wait to see what you have to talk about and all the fun things. So today, Tula's going to be doing. So maybe you should say what you're doing exactly today, because I have an idea.
Yeah. So what I do is I'm a marketing and business consultant, and I use astrology so that creative and neurodivergent entrepreneurs can find time to balance their lives with their work, as well as challenges and strengths that are in their business. And so we're going to go over those charts today using Wildly Digital as an example. So thank you for sharing that information, like your own birth chart information, and then Wildly Digital's information, and just give a sneak peek of how I work and make business strategies.
Yeah, super excited about it. It's also something that if you've worked with me before, you know it's something that I lean into, but I'm not an expert in it like Tula is. But that's exactly why, and that's why exactly I wanted you on the podcast so badly is like, I don't even know how to say it. Like when you have an understanding of how the astrological piece affects everything we're doing, I feel like there's just this shift that takes place. I've seen it happen with so many business owners that we've worked with, and yeah, just the more you can lean into it and understand how these things affect you, it's like, I don't know. I always feel like when I'm paying attention to where the moon is, or I'm paying attention to how my chart is affecting what's happening with me, that it helps me like stay more on course. So I'm really interested to see what you have to say about Wildly Digital's chart, because that's something I've never dived into. So I'm super, super excited. How long have you been practicing this?
So I actually got my degree in digital communications. And since I got my degree, the digital communication world has grown exponentially. So, funny enough, while I was in college, one of the ways that I would procrastinate was studying, because I did have some harder classes. I would just be reading like old astrology books. I went to Cornell, and there were a lot of books that were from the 1800s, and it was just something that really fascinated me, was just to be with old books. And I had grown up knowing astronomy because of my father, and once I started to really dive deep into astrology while I was in university, I started to see how it can help with consulting, and also most like Renaissance doctors and other scientists, like they also integrated astrology into practicing medicine, and I was seeing how astrology at the time, like being a college student, was a way that I could connect to people and also like give them guidance, because, I go into consulting because I've always been pretty good at giving advice. um, and so I've been doing astrology professionally for 8 years.
Wow, that's awesome. 8 years. That's like,
Yeah.
that's a full cycle, because 7 years is like an average like cycle, right? So I'm sure from the beginning till now, you see quite a evolution.
Yeah, now I'm very much into sharing it with other people so that entrepreneurs can kind of get insight. Yes, it's a lot of information, and anyone who is an entrepreneur or making money out of their own creativity, you're constantly in a growth cycle, and you're constantly in this like self-challenge cycle. And so astrology is just this really beautiful tool that you can use so that you don't get like caught up in what the pop culture of marketing is, because I believe that the pop culture of marketing is on its way out, because the whole shift is happening as we speak right now, of people wanting to make their own income and their own economy. And to be able to do that, to shift from like an old way of doing things, or a way that's like honestly not working for everybody, into a whole new way. Not everyone is a trailblazer. And so having astrology is a bit of a blueprint and some guidance, and then also just like recognition.
I love that. I love that. It's so true, because it's something that I've actually been talking to clients a lot recently about, and it's come up in personal conversations too, just how like being an entrepreneur really puts all your shit right here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just constantly looking at it, right? So I think that's I'm like, I can't wait to just like dive into it. Like my brain is just going 1,000 miles a minute of just like, okay, let's get into this. Let's get into this. So is there anything else that you wanted to share before we dive into your process?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a masterclass on marketing for creatives and neurodivergence. And we will be taking what I'm doing now into more bite-sized pieces. With Meghan, we can really dive in. But more bite-sized pieces, so that you don't really have to know your chart too specifically to be able to utilize this knowledge. And that masterclass is on my website, tulafae.com. And yeah, the replay is going to be about 2 hours, and it walks you through like an ebook that I have along with it, so that you can start using astrology for your own business and get like, your mind around it.
Yeah, and I'm also putting the link to the masterclass in the comments, so you guys can dive right in there and sign up as quickly as possible. Oops, I just sent it. I sent it in our group instead of sending. I'm just so excited. Okay, let me share that here so you guys can see it. Awesome. All righty, well, I'll let you take it away. I just saw 11:11, so I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a great way to start. All right, so my first time sharing screen with Google Meets, and I think we're going to do it. Okay. So can you still see me and hear me okay? Okay, I can see you and hear you now. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go through 3 different charts. This is your chart that you shared with me. And then also, will it let me switch to a different one? 1 second. Oh, I think it's only going to let me share one chart at a time. That's fine. Okay, let me see. Thank you for bearing with me.
Oh, of course. This is what this is all about.
Okay, so this is Wildly Digital's, and not every business is going to know the exact time that their business started. I know that's a little bit of a new concept when making a business chart, but yeah, just thinking about like your business birthday. And I know that you and Kate really had a lot of fun with that. Just realizing like, yeah, a business has a birthday. And so for those listening, your business birthday can be when you make your first sale, or when you get like a license, or like and usually sometimes you just know like the day that you make the website. You can find it like, in options or your account with your website. So those are just like good ways to kind of get a gauge on when your business was actually born. And so when there isn't really a time available, I just do whole signs. And that may not mean anything to you, but I just wanted to let Megan know in case that did. And so something that I see with Wildly Digital's chart is that it's a lot about self-expression. I see Chiron and the moon conjunct in Aries, and Chiron is like the wounded healer. And so not only do I see it as like healing like the wounds of like what it is to like show up and like present and to really be a leader. I think Wildly Digital really brings that to fruition. And another really beautiful thing that I see is that the business name is Wildly Digital, and the Mars is in Aquarius. And Aquarius is very much like technological and digital. So like being able to have like a digital marketing business that is like its full action is in the tech space. Because of that Aquarius Mars, I just found that like really beautiful and bright. So that's part of just both of y'all's intuition, you and Kate, like when you started it, is that like that's always behind it. So you're always naturally able to move in that tech space and able to grow and have like innovative insights in that way. And I'm just doing like a little bit of a general thing right now, and then we're going to dive into the questions that I usually go over. And the questions that I usually go over is like a 90-day and then an 18-month. And through that, we'll kind of go into like some challenges that you might find through some transits that are up and coming.
Okay.
But again, I've been doing this for a long time. So if I start to kind of trail off, feel free to interject because this is your reading, you know, and feel free to ask questions or more clarification at any time.
Yeah, definitely. So far, I'm totally following.
Okay, great.
Another
Another beautiful aspect that I see of Wildly Digital is a kite pattern. So we have like this grand trine with Neptune, Jupiter, and Venus. And then the kite is actually with the tail end of the kite is Pluto. So this is very strong. What I can see here is I could see retreats with women because, you know, water is very much being in tune with like the women's mysteries. But also I wanted to point out just like how beautiful these planets are. These are great planets to have because you have Venus that is in Cancer, that is very nurturing. And then you have Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio. So that alignment is very much about giving and giving in a way that is like nurturing community. I think of like matriarchy, but like the kind of like matriarchy that is just more of a commune type based energy. Not necessarily that y'all would do a commune with like Wildly Digital, but more so that there is like this space for women to grow and like women to be nurtured in their wisdom and the wisdom that they share. And also with the wisdom that like is Wildly Digital, just holding space and creating structures so that there can be this exponential growth. Because when we are dealing with growth that is in the water element, if I'm looking at a business chart that is very water heavy, it is almost like dealing with a lot of emotion, and it's also dealing with a lot of wisdom that is in the body. And then it would be important to make your business kind of align with your cycles as a woman if you have a womb. And if you haven't really looked into that, just for, you know, quick generalization, you know, taking time when you are bleeding to not have to like be deep in the business or not having to really show up for clients, or and then when you're ovulating, that's when you want to be booking calls or be booking like podcasts. When you're luteal is like after ovulation, and luteal comes also before the bleed. And so luteal is like when you want to wrap any projects up that have been kind of lingering. And then the fourth phase, it would be follicular, and that's like right after you finish bleeding. And then that's when you want to do new ideas and plan out the month. So I could see that Wildly Digital would do very well with following those phases, and especially, just honoring it if something kind of comes up. And it can take a little bit of time. Typically, I give like a 3-cycle rule when you want to make like really big projects that are like lasting throughout the year. You want to make like a really big change. Kind of give like 3 cycles, because you are in this attunement with your body. Excuse me, I'm going to get some more water. So yeah, it's very like, I see more and more attuning because of a kite pattern, and a kite pattern is actually pretty rare. So the grand trine, like that is very benevolent, that is in water, and then the kite is like the direction. And so you have Pluto that is holding the direction, and Pluto is power. Pluto is like making tons of money. Like for instance, Bill Gates has Pluto and Jupiter conjunct, so Pluto has to deal a lot with sorry, I interrupted my own thought. One thing that I am thinking about when it comes to Wildly Digital is being able to go into powerful organizations like corporate spaces, because Pluto is in Capricorn. With Wildly Digital, I am thinking corporate spaces and being able to do retreats, like being able to kind of, whether that is like a master class, like, or, just doing like a few days of like a retreat within the corporate space of teaching women about your business and how they can get more, using their emotions and letting their emotions like be their guide. I think that we shy away from that as women, just by what society teaches us. And I think Wildly Digital can like helps women really dig in and really express. And of course, like it doesn't have to be just women, but because there is so much water that is in Wildly Digital's chart, I would suggest that it is like women focused and also mother focused, because you have this Venus that is in Cancer. So those would be like your client avatars. I know that's a little bit of jargon. But yeah, so you want to have this like image of like who your client is. And so just very generally, like mothers, wise women, and then women that are gorgeous, because you have Lilith that's right by your Pluto. Yeah, so like women that use their sexuality for and their beauty. And there could be ways that, you help with doing that. You don't have to, I'm not saying that you have to go for like women that have OnlyFans or want to do OnlyFans, but allowing women to kind of really embrace that, to kind of embrace that femme fatale sort of aspect, because Wildly Digital has that as well. So, like something that you and Kate could do if y'all wanted to do it for fun, like do like a boudoir shoot. Because that would kind of like really put more energy into that Plutonian aspect. And people can get scared of Pluto, but what if we are not afraid to do the shadow work, or we're not afraid to like be edgy, then that's when Pluto kind of gives us the gold that we're looking for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this all makes so much sense. Like, I just got smacked in the face. A little bit of like just intuitively how we've been behaving and the downloads that I've been getting and the messages I've been getting from spirit and stuff. Like this all makes so much sense so far. Like I'm like literally everything you have said so far is where we're headed, and the projects that have been coming up recently. Like I even had a conversation with, he's actually a male client, but he has an OnlyFans page, and he's got like, he only started it maybe 3 months ago, and he exploded. He has like 30,000 followers, I think now. And he focuses on sacral healing for men.
Wonderful. Wow, that's so powerful. Yeah, if for men that would come into the business, they have to be, they're already like aligned, like they already get like, and they already really love women. There are a lot of like healthy men out there that just genuinely love women, and that's really obvious. And so, yeah. If you're open to it, we can kind of go into a little bit of challenges that I see with Wiley Digital. Okay, cool.
Yes,
Okay, so the first thing that I see is that the sun and Mercury are in Gemini, which I really love because you are a Virgo. So that is something that kind of naturally aligns for you, like just being able to kind of like run the business. And the challenge that I see is with the Pluto, because it is a quincunx, and that's a tough angle. When I'm talking about angles in astrology, think of it as music notes. And so a quincunx is like you hit the note and maybe it's just like it's kind of it's a rough note, a little bit like and so at any rate, when you're having these ideas of how big you want to grow, how much money you want to make, right? That's that Plutonian aspect. And then also Lilith, right there with Pluto. Lilith and Pluto, like that, I really love that energy. It's like two peas in a pod. But also like Lilith is really vivacious. She wants to have it all. And she has a lot of dark feminine power as well. And so that can feel like a little bit cutthroat. And I think that that's a little bit edgy for you because you seem like very sweet.
Oh, I think so. Oh, don't worry. There is a side of me.
Yes. And
Very
so the business like brings that out of you, that like, again, that like femme fatale-esque. And so whenever these like really big ideas and like this really big push to move in big ways, because that's what Pluto has, that power too, then it doesn't align with the Gemini energy too well. So then what that can look like, it can look like a lot of worry, a lot of doubt, a little bit of self-sabotage, because Gemini energy can really self-sabotage a lot. And then also something that happens with Gemini energy is that there can be like a little bit of sorrow, actually, because there's so much doubt that it kind of turns into sorrow. And so just kind of remembering that the strongest root when that's happening with Wildly Digital is like being in that like dark feminine energy. If you are making this big push, make a big change, because it's going to take a while for that Gemini Sun and Mercury to kind of catch up. It's like once the ball's rolling, Gemini is going to catch it. But that Gemini energy can't get the ball rolling. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And that also makes sense about Kate and I as partners, because I feel like because I have this cutthroat energy, like we both are very sweet. We both love people endlessly, but Kate is the really sweet one. Like she's all water. Like she's a Taurus sun, but she has a Cancer moon and a Cancer rising. So I feel like she takes on that heaviness, whereas I'm just pushing through it. And we literally were just talking about it before this call of, and I can see that in how she's even feeling right now, is that there is a lot of self-growth that she's doing. And I think that the business is also like, not purposefully, because nothing is done on purpose. But she tends to hold more of the water aspects of our business, where I tend to lean more into, I'm guessing, the Lilith side of things, because that, like, we've had situations where on days where I'm really pushing through stuff, it's like, she's like, your energy is off. And I'm like, I don't feel off. I'm just, it's kind of like, I don't know. I just keep making this movement because that's how I feel. I'm like, okay, getting this done the right way. Where when I'm not working, she's used to me being very flowy, very relaxed, very open. Whereas when I'm really focused on something, it's like, fuck the rest.
Yeah.
That's kind of my energy. And becoming a mother recently, up until last year, we had repelled the mother energy of like, that's not our ideal client. That's not who we should be working with. And I feel like that's why my daughter came into our lives, was literally to be like, no. You're working with mothers. And as soon as we realized that, like, they're not our only client, but the matriarchal, the mother energy of moving, especially for myself, moving from the maiden phase into the mother phase is like, it's definitely unlocked something in me. And also what you were saying about retreats, that's always been a part of our mission. Like, I feel like that's why we're here in the Dominican Republic too, because we both had this moment 6 months into our business where it was kind of a make or break moment for us of like, are we going to keep working together and work through our shit together, or are we going to part ways? And the Dominican is what brought us together. And I said to her when we were on the bus, I feel like I'm leaving a piece of my soul here. And she was like, me too. We were both like bawling about it, and just like it was such a big movement. Like, it makes me emotional to think about it, because like, we know we're here for a reason. And this really opens it up. Like, I have a lot, like, I guess that's where the sorrow piece comes in for myself, is that I know I'm not respecting, I'm not spending the time respecting our business the way I used to, because our business used to be my only child, and now I have a physical child. And I feel like that's like, I feel like I've been neglecting the business because of that aspect. But then also just this, like I feel the Lilith energy so much recently.
Yeah.
Of just this, like it makes my back hurt. I get this pain.
Yeah, that's like support, and
yeah.
And my heart goes out to you, and just be really compassionate with yourself. I know that with that Virgo energy and also the Mercurial energy, there is like a lot of pressure to like have things happen in a linear fashion. And I just want to remind you, like with a water heavy chart, like there are cycles, when we are dealing with water element. There is like literally the light side, and then there is like a deep dark side, and that deep dark sometimes just needs rest.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and also that's another piece of wisdom with when it comes to women, because having a newborn, you have to rearrange every minute of your life for a newborn.
Yeah.
And it is very sacrificial to do so. And just the whole cycle of being a woman, like we sacrifice our bodies once a month, or even if we are on birth control, like there is that function that happens where our own body is like shedding and outputting a lot of its resources so that we can renew. But I understand, when we are making our own business and we are making our own income, it's not for the faint of heart. It takes all of our heart energy, and it takes all of our mental capacity at times. And especially if you are dealing with family, and then like maybe you have a income that you're trying to make a side income as you are building a business. And so just realizing that there are a lot of cycles, and something that I do teach is, because I wouldn't say that I am like anti-capitalist, but capitalism is deteriorating. And what I've been focusing more on is when like the empires that were women led, and how those matriarchal societies ran money, because you can see it like with the Vikings, you can see it in like ancient Egypt. um those are the ones that I really read into a lot. um so again, like kind of just understanding that there is like this, there are going to be phases where maybe you're not really touching the business, and letting that be okay. Just letting that be for the time that there's resting, because rest is very nourishing. And then also because there is this Neptune that is in Pisces. Creatives need a lot of space for things to kind of come in, for like new ideas, or just a new perspective of looking at the same situation.
Mhm.
And then there's also one thing. Oh, yeah. So again, kind of going into that Lilith, like dark feminine, femme fatale type of energy, that is the leading energy. Again, it's the end of the kite. And so it's like the rudder as you're navigating the business. And so feel free to really dive into that for yourself, and also for Kate as she is navigating, like, what does like that dark feminine energy look like to her, and how does she embody it? And then just realize that things will kind of fall into place once that is like moving forward.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I think that that's, and I can only speak for myself because I don't have those answers for Kate, but we're getting right vulnerable here today.
Yeah. Yeah. We are looking at like the very, it's like it's very
Yeah.
vulnerable to have all these details laid out. So you
No,
are very brave.
it's like there's this secret side of myself that I like never talk about, but like BDSM is like my thing.
Nice.
It's something that I guess I've kind of resisted, which has been coming up a lot for me lately, of not leaning into that piece of myself. And like I think it comes from a judgment piece of like, what are people going to think if I'm just like open about all of that? But with what you said about, there are lots of women out there that are using their beauty and their bodies to showcase their power, that's something that I think I've been repelled towards, because I just don't want to embrace it in myself. Like it is, if I like imagine my perfect partner, like, because I'm a dominant in life, I am not a dominant in the bedroom at all. Like I will submit to whatever you want kind of situation. But I love that because it's the only way that I can truly like let go. But I also do like being the femme fatale type energy of like, yeah, like that is 100% my energy of like what I hide in the closet, which is interesting that our business is like, hey, this is an opportunity for you that you're not focusing on, or not, that I've never even thought about it being an option for us. And I guess that's work for me to do, which is huge. And then as far as like the retreat aspect, like the commune, like the community aspect that you were talking about, and like commune type environment energy, yeah, that's something that we have plans for. Like we are working towards those things, but we get stuck in this cycle of capitalism, that it has to be all about just making websites and making funnels and building email marketing strategies and all the things that are very digital, which is where over the last, I would say, 2 years, because we've been in business for 5 years now, that's why we've opened it up further than digital marketing. And we're kind of just starting to get that really flowing, that we're more of an operational management firm where we become the COO or the back end of your business, so that you as a CEO can shine without having the headaches of building your team up front. And that kind of shifted everything for us, where it didn't feel like our worth was based off of these digital creations that we make, which even though our digital pieces are always beautiful, they are always functioning, we'll go above and beyond for companies that we work with. 9 times out of 10, that's not what they actually need from us. They come in saying that they need the social media, they need the marketing, but then it's like, you don't have any structure behind your business. You don't have a business plan. You don't have a plan for success. There's no roadmap. There's no projections. There's no financial management. And then they'd be like, well, fix it.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. It's like,
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I actually approached you is because about for myself, but whatever, like, it doesn't matter because I've worked for Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 200 companies. I've worked for mompreneurs, therapists, acupuncturists, and they all kind of are messy, honestly. And so I think people just don't get that. It's just when I'm doing like the work for corporate, obviously they expect like a bigger paycheck that I am like going out and getting for them.
Yeah.
And money is so funny, how people like relate with money. And, again, for anyone that's like listening back, money is changing in such a radical way right now because we're going through a transit that is making that so. But also, everyone has a different relationship with it, and everyone is kind of like messy on the back end when it comes to, because I've seen corporate campaigns that I was on for marketing where they're literally like just spending $2,000 a week on a campaign that's not working. Like, the thing that was happening is that they were spending $2,000 a week on having like printed ads and then paying people to hand out those flyers on the street. And so it was a waste. Like, there was no, like, people weren't like really signing up, you know what I mean? And so, but they were stuck in this idea, and I think this is like patriarchal, like, well, this worked in LA, this worked, this has been working for like 5 years, 10 years, however many years, so this is the way it's done. And I think that feminine energy, when we come in of like, this isn't working, we need to approach it in a different way. We need to this is how we clean our room, and it's really just like, this is how we clean up our business.
Yeah, for sure.
And so water energy, I think, doesn't get enough recognition that it is like an organization type of energy as well, because it is like organizing like through emotion. And again, you're able to kind of pinpoint it and then help guide people in their business through being like very emotionally open, heart open, and being really in tune with themselves, which is really beautiful.
That's awesome, because that totally affirms what we've been getting as a big message lately. That I've been trying to articulate it to Kate properly, but it just doesn't seem to be delivering past what I've been experiencing, is like, what we are here to help, especially on the corporate side, is women and men to understand the power of having emotional awareness and how you actually apply that to business. Because corporate talks about it, but it's more about the team building, the team communication, rather than applying that emotional awareness to every piece of your business. Like, yeah, your staff is important, but it's also, are you being emotionally aware about how you're running your business?
Yeah. And people now more than ever are very emotionally led when it is to like purchasing. But one thing that I wanted to get into one more challenge.
Yeah,
And
sure.
then we'll go to the horoscopes. I love that. I feel like we could talk for hours and hours on this, so I love this. Anyways, so when it comes to the Mars being an Aquarius, one thing that I also wanted to highlight is that it's conjunct the South Node. So again, like you do walk into people's businesses and you help them like organize it, there is a lot of like self-doubt that comes with that naturally that people are feeling because they're just like, oh, this is my mess and I'm hiring you to handle my mess, but then I don't want to be like accountable for my mess because, you know, like I just want to put the blinders on, just fix it, Megan, you know? You know? Um,
For
so
sure.
that energy. And one thing that could be really helpful, one of the most helpful things for a Mars in Aquarius to do is breath work. So you can lead people through breath work if they kind of are coming up with blocks in their business. If they just want to put their head in the sand, because that's, you know, so that's one thing that you could lead them through. That's also something that you and Kate could do as well, especially if you want to do like literally be breathing life into the new vision that you have, or, you know, into the strategy that you have. And so I think the biggest piece, that the biggest challenge is just a lot there's doubt that is here, you know, like doubt with action, doubt with like, is this the right strategy? And again, you just kind of want to kind of fall into breath work, honoring the cycles of the body, like maybe, you know, just checking, see like, is this the right time of month that I want to really push this? Or, you know, can it breathe for like another 7 to 10 days while I'm taking care of baby and my body? And then I just want to honor that, like, this is a lot of like emotional labor and a lot of like emotional work, because you are helping people like really solidify who they are as a leader, because you have this Aries moon, you also have Juno in Aries and the Chiron that's in Aries. And so working through the wounds and then helping people like recommit to who they are, and recommit to their leadership.
Yeah, yeah. Like, holy shit, yes. That's literally why I created it's why this whole podcast came to fruition. Was I was like, I constantly am talking to clients about re-stepping into their power and being the leader that they want to be, and how do they get there. And they're always like, well, you just make it look so effortless. And I'm like, no, like I spend a lot of time working on this stuff.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Like, so let me show you how I do that. And yeah, you nailed it on the head. Like, and wow, like this just, everyone that I've ever worked with, if you're watching this playback, you all need to work with Tula, because you all
Thank you.
out of this. Like, this is, I think this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in the business, to be honest. Like,
Aww.
like, I'm not even kidding. I was talking to one of my other mentors and she was like, you will know when this moment has hit you. And I swear to God, this is that moment of like, it all just, it just, I understand that that's a challenge, and that like, because you said like the way that you just said that, it's like, yes. So every move that we have been making, even though it might seem super challenging and we're not seeing, because let's be real, we're not seeing the fruit of our labors yet. And I know for myself, it's challenging. I know for Kate, it's been extremely challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you're giving us permission to breathe, that you're saying that that's what our business needs, that we can take space, that we can flow naturally. Like, I know she's listening over my shoulder, but like everything that Kate has been emulating and talking about lately, like I'm just like, I feel this sense of relief. Because I know that when she goes to edit this and put it on the podcast, that's when she really listens. Because the other thing that we've been doing is Kate and our lives are very intertwined. We live together.
Mm-hmm.
We run our business together. We moved to the Dominican Republic together, and we're raising Raina together. So what she has given me the gift of is that I can focus on the business more, because for the last year and a half, I've been growing a child and birthing a child and becoming a new mom, which has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But now she's been so amazing and taken on a lot of the caregiver role so that I can step back into the business, because I was so hard on myself. I'm not even kidding, Tula. Like, I was beating myself up about not being in the business and feeling so guilty and just watching it essentially fall apart. But I don't think it was really falling apart. Like, it really was this rebirth into what Wildly Digital is meant to be. I think we were working a lot in, and I feel it, that we were working in a sense of capitalism that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, our business, I got a message from, I can't remember who said it to me or how they said it, but they made it very clear that a lot of the things that I've been working on for the last 3 years, longer than that, making these plans, and we've tried so many things, that it was just like, well, the time wasn't ready yet. But like, now we're ready. Now the world is ready. Now we can experience the way we are, right? Is we were kind of ahead of the game a little bit with how we were approaching our business. Whereas even just with what you're pointing out about the kite, like, looking at it, I'm like, it makes so much sense. Like, we are a kite.
Yeah, literally, like,
right?
rising above the rest,
Yeah.
that's a kite. Leading the way, it is also very, like, fun and playful. And then I love that y'all have Leo North Node. It does trine well with the moon. So yeah, again, I'm glad that really resonated with you and, like, gave you back, just some confidence and just, like, some awareness of, like, it is okay for the business to relax. It needs to, like, that is, like, feminine wisdom. And it is absolutely opposite of, like, what we're taught as marketers.
Yeah, it's true.
It, like, goes against the fabric.
It does.
And so we're reimagining it, and again, like, that takes a lot of emotional labor. And so, yeah, again, with breath work or even, like, making meditations, I don't know if y'all do that. But yeah, that could be something that you do together with Kate, as things are going to be growing. Because when I see a water heavy chart, when things are going, you got to think of that, like, tsunami effect. Like, there's going to be a big pullback, and then, like, all of it's coming, and then it's just going to keep coming and coming and coming, where it feels like, this torrential, like, force. And so you have to have the energy to be able to, like, come in with, all of that water energy that's, like, coming to the shore, essentially.
Yeah, wow. Like, so this is what I mean about how energy and spirit and everything is so much bigger than we even know. Like, my parents were in the tsunami.
My
Like,
God.
they made a choice between, like, my stepmom and my dad and my grandpa and my step grandma were sitting at the breakfast table, and they had 2 pamphlets in their hands. They had one to go do an ocean kayaking trip and one to go to Phi Phi Island. On that day, everybody who went to Phi Phi Island didn't make it. They decided to go on the kayaking trip. They still had a very traumatic experience. Like, the whole cave filled up with water. They were stuck at the top. They had to, like, get cut out and swim back to the boat. Like, it was heavy. And then they came back, and the entire first floor of their hotel was gone. Like, many people who lived at who were staying at their hotel didn't live and didn't make it through it. Like, my stepmom still has, huge PTSD from it. Like, she can't even talk, because it was just probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And it was like, we got this phone call, and it was like, we're okay. And we were like, what? And we turned on the TV, and you just saw water everywhere. And the fact that you're talking about a tsunami and that's our business, like, that's crazy. Like, and I get really emotional when I know I'm having a huge down. So, like, wow.
I'm so sorry your family went through that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a terrifying experience, but I'm just so thankful that we experienced it the way we did and not the way others did. but yeah, like it just it has been a huge reflection in my life because it constantly comes up. And I think that there's a lot of people who are fearful of that energy,
Yeah.
obviously. But there's also such beauty in it as well, of like that washing effect and just how, like you said, how powerful that is. And
Yeah.
that's why we are both so drawn to the water, and we have our best conversations about business.
Yeah. And, again, when you're going into a business, like your mode of operation is to get into every crevice, and you shift things around. And that is the water element. And also your business has the potential by its nature to make huge movements.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's
so, yeah, I think when it comes to when we're like, because we've been taught so much about like how the patriarchy moves, and I want to make it very obvious that when I'm saying patriarchy, I'm not talking about masculine. Patriarchy functions very different than masculine energy, and we all kind of have to operate under patriarchy, but it operates in such a way of like, when we think that a business has a lot of momentum, we think that business has a lot of capital and is getting like a lot of like numbers. But when it comes to this chart, because it is so water heavy, like there is this big pullback. And so it does have this like kind of surprise element. And it also is, it is very, very, very big change that happens with it.
okay. So knowing that there's big change and that we have to be okay with that pullback, and that it'll just surprise us. Like, are there things that we can pay attention to? Like, there's anything in the chart that's showing you like what we should be noticing as movement in the right direction, or are we just going to be blindsided?
No. So I probably, allow me to rephrase. So it can be surprising for others, but it's
Okay.
something that y'all deeply feel. It's almost like, it's not that you've been manifesting it. It's like you've been seeing it with your third eyes. Like,
Yeah.
this is what our business is capable of. And so y'all know exactly like what's happening. But once it's like hitting the shore, so to speak, that can be like the surprise element. Also, another surprise element is just like when you go into someone's business, it's like you literally do get into every crevice. Like,
We do.
so
Sometimes
surprising for them,
very surprising for them. Like the amount of times that I've been like hung up on, or they've like screamed at me, or they're just like they start bawling out of nowhere.
Yes.
And they're like, I don't know what's happening to me. And I'm just like, it's okay. We're gonna get in here. Or like usually our relationships fall apart because they won't let us fully in. That's when businesses don't do well with us.
Yes. I've had that experience before with my own business. Like, oh my goodness, I've been screamed at just because this woman told me that she did have like an LLC and EIN, and then she didn't, and then like that really, really triggered her when I found that out. Like, oh, you lied. So, yeah, people are very, very sensitive, and that's okay. But I think that's why I also like teach astrology with your business, so that like we can really have a home of understanding. Like, yeah, like the things that you and Kate like feel for your business, like it's coming. Again, you just got to think of like that tsunami that's like building up, all that water energy.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope that gives Kate permission to pull back the way she wants to pull back right now. Like, speaking for her a little bit, there is this personal need for her right now to just release and breathe and be, like you said, not directly touching the business right now. And there's been a lot of guilt, and I think and we talked about it this morning, of some potential shame that is attached to that I've been consistently saying to her, like, no, dude, like you have permission, not just from me, but I hope you can give permission to yourself that every move she's making right now is for the best for not only our business, but also for her, for me, for my child, for the people we have around us. And it's just so clear that the business wants the same thing, because that's when I believe that we'll start to flow again. Once we're both in a space of, okay, we're flowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just like, I should have given you her chart too, because I feel like there probably is some
It's
insight.
okay. I'm sure that we'll read charts again someday. But
sure.
one thing that I wanted to point out with what you were saying, so when you get people deep in their feelings about their business, and they can feel like, I wouldn't say that people come across with their blocks. They're just coming across with like suppressed emotion. Honestly, when you're dealing with this much water energy and you're bringing it up in them, you know, and places where they've been stagnant, and then of course they have their shame around like stagnation. So ways that you will use this kite formation to get out of it is that you're going to lean into that Venus, that Cancer Venus. And that again is like being very nurturing. It can be a motherly type of energy, but also Cancer is the mother, and the mother is like sensual in every way, you know, and is also non-judgmental and guiding. So, you know, like your baby can be like throwing up, you know, just having like a bad day. And, you know, like that doesn't stop you from like nurturing it. Like you're going to be like kind of in the midst of it, you know, dealing with all that. And so, being able, when you kind of feel that like resistance or that pullback from other clients, and you want to lean into that like motherly, like love kind of Venus type of energy, where it is very soft. Virgo has a lot of like mother energy as well, but it can kind of be like a very directive type of like motherly energy. And with the Cancer type of motherly energy, it's just like a big warm hug.
Yeah.
And so nurturing them in that way so that they can come to, I wouldn't say like realization, but just like acceptance. Like, okay, this is where I've been stagnant. This is where I've had my head in the sand. And so that can be the thing of just like people just, they want to hide. And that's their water element that you're bringing up.
Okay. And I can see where for a lot of people that's super challenging, especially if they're not used to embracing that side of themselves.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Do we have a few more minutes to go through the horoscope?
Oh, yeah, for sure. As much time as you need.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to switch into because sometimes I do partner charts for business and for you. And again, it is in whole signs, so it's going to look a little bit different. Don't want to like scare you because I know you look at your chart a lot.
Yeah.
So let me see. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, cool. So here, oh, where'd you go? Cool. Yay. Okay. So we have you, and then oh, dang it, it's the wrong one. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yes, finally. Great. Okay, this is definitely the one. So Wiley Digital is so I did the partner chart with Wiley Digital being inside, and then you're on the outside.
Okay.
So what I see here is that you have a lot of Libra energy, and then when it comes, so this can be that like the emotion that is with the business. Like sometimes it kind of can knock you out of balance when you have to deal with a lot of business in a day. So making sure that you do have time for yourself and connecting to those that you care about. But I'm just going to go into the horoscope aspect of this. And the horoscope, so it's going to be for 90 days. And so when we are going into Libra season, we're in Libra season right now. This is when you are putting a lot of energy into your business. You feel like a lot of surge because you have so much Libra energy. And again, just be patient that you might not see so much momentum. We're like right smack dab into eclipse season. We're actually recording the day of Aries full moon. And when you're going through this eclipse season, you actually do want to be thinking about what's coming in like 18 months, because an eclipse cycle is an 18-month cycle. And it can also be an 18-year cycle. So when we just want to piece down what happens in like 18 months, this is like when you kind of want to be doing the outline, which like through Libra season, you want to do an outline of like what you want to be happening in 18 months. And you can go as detailed as like what you would want to happen each quarter for the next 18 months. That can be a good like exercise that you just do for your business during Libra season. Also, this is a time that, because you're right in eclipse season does bring in like destiny, as well as a lot of fated events. And so this could be fated partnerships. Someone that you partner with that you would actually have like a long business relationship with. Like you're really aligning with people in that way right now. And maybe you don't like seal the deal as much in Libra season, because what I see more so is that Scorpio season is like the most powerful money making season for Wildly Digital, especially because your part of fortune is conjunct the Jupiter of Wildly Digital. And so what that means to me is that it is like reciprocal energy. And of course, you're making your money through Wildly Digital. So that is a really beautiful energy to see. But just to reiterate, you want to take Libra season as making a lot of plans and a lot of connections, really identifying that type of avatar, client avatar that you want to connect with. This also, like, if you want to take on coaching for your own business, that's a good time to do it. You kind of are right now, honestly. And then but if you want to invest in like different coaching, or you want to invest in like more education, I would say do that in Libra season. And then, so like 30 days from now, you're going to be in Scorpio season. And that's when you can see a lot of fruits of your labor. Like it can kind of come back to you, and just be prepared for that. Be prepared to make your power moves, so to speak, in Scorpio season. When it comes to Sagittarius season, so we're just going to talk, since 90 days is pretty much, the fourth quarter. Sagittarius season, allow yourselves to have fun, like you and Kate. Let that be, not necessarily that you don't have to take the business seriously, but there's a lot of space just for there to be fun, or, if you want to like build a class or a course. Of course, that's always easy to do in Sagittarius season. But in Sagittarius season, that's when you want to revisit the plans that you made in Libra season, for like what is the first quarter of 2024 going to look like. And then giving it the space so that new ideas can come, because that Sagittarius energy, it is very playful and very boisterous. Um, you could also use the last quarter in Sagittarius season to see if there is some type of initiative that y'all want to be giving to, whether that is like charity or so forth, like ones that you do want to align with where you are helping them. And so if you ever want to do something pro bono, I would suggest that you only decide to do something pro bono in Sagittarius season.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, and so you can like plan out like your calendar for that. And then the last season of like quarter 4 is Capricorn. And you have a lot of energy in Capricorn, both you and Wildly Digital. So I do see where there is like making alliances. And if you do want to make alliances like in the DR, then it's like it's making the proposal. You have this big idea because like Neptune and Saturn are like conjunct with like Wildly Digital and you, and so you have this like really big idea, and then I think that there can be like the caught up of like, okay, how do we make this reality, and then how do we like, you know, showcase this to someone that like may not be speaking, you know, English as their first language, or, you know, just may be suspicious because of, you know, we're foreigners, that type of thing. So that's the Saturn energy that's like doing the doubt. And okay, we need like all the steps. So when you are like crafting a proposal to be able to work with people that are more local, then my suggestion would be doing like a timeline when it comes to that proposal. Like, here's our big idea, here's the timeline of like how working together will create more structure and support as we work together, and just making that very clear in the proposal. That will have more benefit when it comes to working with you know in a new country to you where y'all are like pretty new.
Yeah.
And then another thing that is really interesting is that your North Node is conjunct the Pluto and Lilith conjunction that Wildly Digital has. So North Node is destiny. It is where we're going in life. And so even if you don't believe in like past lives, you can just think about your own lifetime and how many like iterations of yourself that you've had to be in this life so far for the listeners. And so I think it's really interesting what you already shared about you know, the dark feminine aspect and how that resonates with you, because it is like you are finding that like through your business. And so this isn't an aspect that you want to shy away from, especially in your proposal. Like, you do want to be proud of having that dark feminine energy. Like, it is the guiding force of power that is in your business and also for yourself. It is something that, you know, your spirit is really yearning to dive into and to build more out of. And so if you have to deal in a situation that might be patriarchal, you know, being okay with being that, like, because, you know, dominant men also have that submissive side to themselves. That is something that happens in almost every dynamic across the board. Is like, if someone is like very strong in their business life and very directive and like calling the shots, then they are actually looking for someone to call the shots in their life. And so that can be an aspect that you're thinking of when you are making these connections, that honestly these people, that you are pitching to probably have way too much on their plate, have to make way too many decisions, and they're fatigued in that way, and they just want like a dominatrix to come tell them I have to do that.
I can do that.
um, and then when it comes to we'll just get a little bit into the first quarter just because of 2024, just because I see an issue, and I just want to point out that like in Aquarius season, I want you to be like very careful of your health. Just take more time with it. Make sure that you're like up on your supplements, do all the things like that you need to do to feel really healthy. That's the only thing. So yeah, try not to get too thrown off of like, because people treat the first quarter like we want to like bust through the gates almost. And so, just making sure that like you're not too drained from the holidays, give yourself like a little bit of a breather. The first quarter is more that kind of like giving space, because it seems that a lot of energy that comes into Wildly Digital, and a lot of like what's that word? Sorry, I lost it. Anyways, a lot of what you see, like the fruits of your labor, that's going to come in like the third and fourth quarters of your fiscal year. Any questions about the next 90 days?
Well, I don't really have any questions, more of just insights that it feels like we're on the right direction. So this month we're really leaning into experimentation, and we're signing up for it's a Facebook group. They have like you've probably heard of it. It's Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs. There's like 700,000 members in it, and we're gonna sign up for the membership program that they have so that we can post more regularly in there and do lives and stuff. So I'm just gonna be diving into that from an awareness perspective. It makes sense that we may not see anything happen in the next 30 days, but all of the work that I'm putting into it, and by showing up and doing all the things that then based off of a regular funnel, like sales pipeline, we should see from the leads that I bring in more appointments and more closes during November. Yeah. And then December, that's Raina's birthday. So Raina's birthday, yeah, it's the first week of November or December. So my family's coming down. So that'll be a week of play. And then
a little Sag baby.
Yeah, little Sag. She's just, yeah, she's that playful energy. Like, and then we're planning on going back to Canada as well, which is where we're from, to see family. And then my dad and my stepmom have a place in Nicaragua. So we're planning on going to Nicaragua for a couple of weeks. So definitely going to be a lot of play in December going into January. Yeah, and it's interesting that you said to like not overdo it in February, which we made a choice last year that we follow the astrological calendar as our new year. We don't actually count.
Nice.
Like, we do, but we don't. Yeah. So March. So
it's very interesting to have to like work multiple timelines.
Yeah. It makes my back hurt. It's like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. But also it's what works best for us, because then we can work with clients who are in that energy of the calendar new year, whereas we're not in that same vibration. So it allows me to not feel so much pressure that I'm feeling off of them. And I will definitely keep in mind that I need to be cognizant of my energy in February. I also know that February is going to be a heavy month, because there was Elsa. Sorry, my dog. Stop. There's a lot of like from what happened last February, it'll be the 1 year mark from everything that took place last February, which was a big energetic slap in the face for Kate and I and our business. So it's a great reminder of just like be prepared for that. yeah, I don't really feel scared by anything that you said. It's just
Good.
very affirming. It's very much like this feels kind of like a sigh of relief that everything that I've been leaning into and trusting my spirit team and the beliefs that I have and the downloads and messages that I've been getting, that I just need to keep listening. And that if I keep listening then and keep taking inspired action, that things will keep moving forward the way that they're supposed to. If I play into the doubt, then that's when things won't go the way we want them to.
Well, it's very much just finding your own rhythm and just honoring the cycles, because there's going to be the overarching cycle of the business and then the cycles of your own bodies, and both you and Kate could have like a different timeline with that, because the cycles of our bodies are very personal, and so did I answer your question?
I think so. And it did just pop into my head, like, Kate's probably going to hate that I asked this, but you said that there is a potential for partnerships to dissolve. Like, do you see that meaning between Kate and I potentially, or would you mean?
No. So anything that dissolves, like, it's just when we are in eclipse season and there are relationships that are like falling away, that are dissolving, they're just like literally like not on the path anymore.
Okay.
But because we are in the eclipse season that is Aries and Libra, it is very much focused on self and others, like the partnership that we have. So we are kind of like, there might be an energy between you and Kate that dissolves, but not necessarily the relationship itself that dissolves. And again, like if you are like focusing on the business, I see like doing meditations together or doing breath work together, and connecting in that way can be really helpful, because Aquarius does kind of rule the nervous system in a different way than Gemini energy does, because it's like Gemini energy is the nervous system as far as the nerves themselves, like think about like cable lines, or like of the telephone poles that are like connecting to different parts of the body. That's Gemini energy. The Aquarius energy is that electrical energy, the electricity and the impulses and the neurochemical pathways. That is the Aquarius energy. So it's a little bit more ethereal. We can't really see it, but that energy is being exchanged and communicated. So yeah, with Libra season that we're in, you want to be making those connections and be sitting down and making those ideas of like what you want each quarter to look like for the next 18 months.
Okay.
And then in Sagittarius season, that's when you can be connecting to the organizations that you have identified that y'all want to work together with, or the client avatars that y'all want to work together with. That's when you can be like reaching out, even if it's just like an introduction through Sagittarius season, especially when it comes to the DR, like making connections in the DR, or like, maybe that means that you do a networking event, that y'all throw a networking event, or like a mini class, like a lunch and learn type of thing. You can
Yeah.
do, and just starting the seed,
Okay.
so to
That
speak.
that's crazy that you just said that, because we've started a networking group down here.
Oh, really?
We're part of 4 women that have organized it, and we just had our 4th networking breakfast. I run a weekly online mini networking once a week. We have a Christmas party scheduled for December.
Nice.
We're doing a charitable give back at that event. We're planning on opening up a vendor market and creating a trade show. And then I would say the proposal that you're talking about would be for the conference we want to organize for 2024.
There you go. You're on the right track.
Yeah, so we're definitely on the right track. Confirmation. And it's so funny because we literally just had a meeting about it yesterday. So for anyone watching, like it's just proof of like, we all know, like we have this intuition, we have this crazy power within us, and we just need to lean into it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. We just need to lean into it.
Yeah, and then realize like all the wisdom or the creativity that we have in our business, like it has a support system. And astrology really brings in the structure of that support system so that we can be magnetic. And if y'all do follow the water element in your business, that is where you become more magnetic. Like that is the biggest power that is in your business. And so honoring what it is to navigate in that element. So what I'm saying for a water-led business would be very different than I would say for like an earth-based or fire. And that's what I'm focusing on in my masterclass. There can be ways that you can just like more resonate with the different elements. And so we're just breaking it down with the elements, because even in human design, because I use astrology and human design, we talked a little bit about that when we were on the phone together. But even human design gets very detailed with the body of like the type of environments that we want to work in, or even how our digestion works in her body. Human design gets very, very particular because it is using I Ching and astrology. And I Ching is like it's a Chinese form of divination. And it is very much about the psychic health of our body. And if we have like our psychic health that's out of balance, then we're going to see it physically. And so I think of astrology in the space of just like taking care of like the psychic energetic capacity and bodies of our business.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I'm like, well, maybe we should do another one in a couple of months about
Yeah. You just need like a little bit of update. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any more questions about your chart or any more insights that I didn't cover?
I do have a question about because I wanted to I had said that when you asked me what I wanted to do in the next 20 days, or 90 days, do you see us making the 20K that I want to make?
So if it has already been built, like the connections that you have, the closing, and usually the big money making month of Wildly Digital is going to be Scorpio season. There's also like another time through Leo season where that's where you make the big bucks. And so yeah, just really like leaning into that, go full force. Libra season is very much about balancing things out, having those conversations that you need to have that balances out like relationship energy, even with clients, even with Kate. And then Scorpio season is like where you will see like the biggest rewards.
Okay. Well, I will definitely be leaning into that. Oh, I am like, this masterclass of yours just sounds phenomenal and such a great opportunity. So, and is this the one that you're doing? Because I know we talked about you doing one in person. Is this an in-person event or an online event?
Yeah, so it's an in-person event, and then the recording will be available. And then anyone that listens to the recording, I'll meet with them just to go over questions and so forth.
Awesome. Well, I think that this has been extremely eye-opening, extremely valuable. I think any business owner that understands energy and understands the impact of knowing their natal chart and how astrology affects us all, and like astronomy and everything, that this is beyond valuable. So thank you so much for this. I super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So once again, just so that everyone knows, where can they find you and how do they stay connected with you?
Yeah, so all my socials are Tula Fae, TulaFaa, and FAE at Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm more vocal on Facebook as of now, but also my website is the same, tulafae.com, and that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, for anyone listening, make sure you subscribe to stay in touch with all of the amazing people that we are going to continue to bring onto this series. Feel free to reach out if you want any insights from Wiley Digital, or you want to work with us, because obviously this is why I'm doing this too. And then definitely connect with Tula, because she's a wealth of knowledge. This has been probably one of the most impactful hour and a half I've had on my business in a while.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, we'll wrap up here. You guys have a great rest of your day. Tula, have a great rest of your day. And so excited to see what the next couple of months have.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.